So you too, when you do all the things that were commanded you, you should respond like this. I'm just an unworthy slave. I only did what I ought to have done. Well, how do you move on from that? Let's look at that here in a moment. In Luke 17:11, Jesus moves from the verse I just read to you to this story of 10 lepers. He says, while he was on the way to Jerusalem, he was passing between Samaria and Galilee, and as he entered a village, 10 leprous men who stood at a distance met him. And they raised their voices saying, Jesus, Master, have mercy on us. And when he saw them, he said to them, go, show yourselves to the priests. And as they were going, they were cleansed. Now one of them, when he saw that he had been healed, turned back, glorifying God with a loud voice, and he fell on his face at his feet, giving thanks to him, and he was a Samaritan. Okay, so how do you move on from the story in chapter 17, verse 11, the parable here where he says, look, when people say to you, try to praise you for stuff, what's your response going to be? Look, I'm just an unworthy slave. So an easy conclusion to jump to might be that you don't really, you might encourage people not to express gratitude and thanks. So how do you counterbalance that story? And that's how I understand some of what's going on here with this story with the lepers. Here we have the right response from someone who has benefited from the grace and the mercy of God. Not that they're looking for praise for themselves, but as a recipient of mercy and grace, they want to thank the one who did it. It would seem that the 9 lepers were given a wonderful gift that is hard to even imagine and describe, and they were so overjoyed with the gift that they forgot to thank the one who gave it. So they were so happy with the new little shiny present that they got that they didn't remember who gave them the gift in the first place. And I can understand that. I can understand getting so excited about some wonderful gift that God gave that I forget to see the connection between that gift and the one who gave it. Usually for us, there's a little bit more of a disconnect. Like, if you make a lot of money over the years and you have good health and you have a lovely family, that's like kind of like a slow walk version. But those are things to truly give God thanks for. And we fail to see that it's a gift of God that we can even enjoy the wealth that we have. We have texts of Scripture that would remind us that that is the case. That is, the ability to even enjoy the money that you have is a gift of God. But that's more of a slow walk compared to this. This is an immediacy of it. However, the exaggerated nature of the gift that Jesus gives here just can't be overstated, really. If you're a leper, you're thought to be, in this day and age, from the rabbis and from society, you're thought to be cut off, dead to even those of your family. You are considered to be especially cursed of God. That is, you sinned in some way and you earned that leprosy. Ugh. Talk about a scarlet letter on you. I mean, not only are you cut off from society, but you are thought to have earned that. You sinned in some way that merited leprosy. Man. So these guys are in a truly despondent condition, and Jesus heals them. And the joy of being healed just, you can't, like I said, you can't overstate it. So their response is to obey him. But in their obedience of going to obey, it seems that they bypass one of the most important of all things, and that is just to stop for a second, at least, and say, thank you. You are good. So Jesus here, the dramatic nature of this healing, notice in verse 13, it says here that they say, Jesus, Master, have mercy on us. When they say Master, that word has a lot of baggage then and today. But to say that he is Master is to acknowledge him as an authority, not over their own, not just over them, because you can see how they would get there, because they're lepers, they're nobody. So you can see why they would acknowledge his authority over them there. But to call him Master here is also, they're acknowledging his mastery over their disease, which is thought to be a curse from God. So who can roll that back? Who would have the power? Who would be master over a curse from God? No one but God. So these guys calling him master is a very strong title to give him here. And they've heard the stories, many stories of him healing. But they've also heard the story that goes back early in Luke 5 of Jesus healing a leper before. This is unprecedented in biblical history to actually heal a leper. This is unreal. Jesus being master over that. You almost can't overstate the case of how powerful this is. And they are cleansed as they are going, which reminds us of Naaman, who was healed back in 2 Kings 5. And when he's sent out to go do something simple, go wash himself in the Jordan, and he has a simple process to follow. A foreigner, again, being healed. Here, what a dramatic scenario. As they're going, their leprosy starts to dissipate or immediately goes away here, as Jesus' healing often always works. So this story where they are cleansed, man, what an incredible thing. Can you imagine? I mean, like, if it's Hansen disease, which it probably is, leprosy was a broad category of diseases, but the one that got them to a point like this is probably something like Hansen's disease, a very powerful disease. It kills the nerve endings and whatnot and affects all parts of the body. It's awful, ugly disease, even visibly ugly. And these guys are in such a state that they can see the cleansing that has happened, and they're supposed to now go to the priests who will authenticate the depth of the cleansing. And as they're on their way, healing. But one of them, when he saw it, he had the wherewithal, he had the presence of mind to actually turn around and glorify God with a loud voice and fall on his face. The posture of the most, the way that you can express the most reverence in Scripture would be this posture of falling on your face at his feet. And he gave him thanks. This is tremendous. And then Luke drops another bomb on us here at this point. And he says, and he was a Samaritan. Oh. Once again, we have a Samaritan showing us what real faith ought to look like. You have the apostles who were just struggling with this idea of forgiving 7 times 7, and it seems that they're not quite ready for the job before them. We find later that actually many of these teachings were veiled from their eyes, but this guy seems to be getting something they're not. We're given an example again of authentic faith from an unexpected source. A leper and a foreigner. Incredible. Just incredible. What do we take from this? Well, there's many things to take from this. One of those is how do we react when God does something wonderful in our life? Well, one of the simple ways to react is just to stop and acknowledge him. Thank him for what he's doing. Living in response to what God does in our life and meeting life, you might say, with gratitude because of the mercy God has shown me today. I'm alive this morning, man. His mercies are new each day. That's one of the responses. Other response is, I don't always know where God's going to work. I don't know in whom he's working. What an incredible thing to see God using this Samaritan to rebuke the apostles, to rebuke the Jews, to rebuke the Pharisees. There's a crew traveling with Jesus, and they're seeing this. What an incredible rebuke. What a humbling rebuke. Jesus was going to respond now and react to this a little bit further. I'll look at that with you next time, but hopefully this is encouraging to your faith as we look at it here today. See ya.